right now, somewhere within your body, your heart is beating without your permission. And you didn't ask it to. And you can't tell it to stop, directly at least. And one day, on a day that you don't know, on a day I don't know, it will. It will stop. That sentence, it's a tough one. It might have made you uncomfortable. Why is that? It's simply just strange. Being human, we spend an enormous amount of time fearing something that by definition we will never actually experience. Why do we do that? How does that make sense? Through my eyes, it doesn't. And a man who died over 2,000 years ago figured that out before most of us were even given the chance. His name was Epicurus, and he wrote one sentence that I really haven't been able to shake since reading. Death is nothing to us, for good and evil imply awareness, and death is the privation of all awareness. Fancy words and all that. And in that sense, it's essentially saying death is nothing to us. The only thing that can hurt us or help us are things that we can experience, and death, by definition, is the end of experience. When death is here, we are not, and when we are here, death is not. The two of us, we never intersect. It really does sound like too simple, Why worry about something that you'll never experience? And I'll admit, it's kind of crazy. And, when I first was kind of reading through that, I thought I was missing something. But then as I kept, looking into things, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy makes the same point in just a little bit of a different way. A person's death is not intrinsically good or bad for her. Then what we call the pain of death isn't really death at all. It's the dread we feel while we're alive that is the pain of death. And we'll never really be able to feel that. And that dread, it isn't harmless. The Cleveland Clinic has actually documented that people who fixate on death have a condition called thanatophobia. It's real, and they have real consequences for kind of dealing with that. Heightened anxiety, sleep disruption, a racing heart, and the American Psychological Association links chronic stress to accelerated cellular aging. The fear of dying is literally killing you. It's shortening your lives. It's shortening the lives of people who are fearing it. And Epicurus saw this, obviously in different ways, 23 centuries ago. Without a single MRI machine, without, I think, the idea of a cell even being conceived. But here's where I had to wrestle with him. Because if death is nothing, what do I do with my grandparents? Okay, when I interviewed them for this class, I asked them about funerals. When I interviewed them for this death and dying class, and when I asked them about funerals that had stayed with them, they started to gently argue about the parents' death had been most impactful. Listening to them, I realized, I'll plan their funerals one day. The trips to Manistee, the chicken seasoned within an inch of its life, the homemade mashed potatoes, like those memories. That feels like something. That feels like loss. Like death inadvertently may not be, something we have to worry about, but the death of others. And what I think Epicurus would say on the matter, and what I've come to believe, is that grief is real. The loss is real, but the grief is mine and the loss is mine. It belongs to the living. We have these ideas that, oh no, it's going to be a painful thing. My grandparents, when they go, they won't be suffering their own absence. No, I will be. And that's exactly the point. Epicurus isn't telling us that death doesn't matter, okay? He's telling us that the suffering actually lives. So, we gotta stop thinking about pointing the gun at the wrong target here, okay? The work isn't to fear our own death. The work is to love the people we have while we have them. Right, Richard Dawkins, in a documentary, I cannot recall, that we watched within the semester, interviewed the parents of those who had lost a newborn child. They told him with complete certainty that they would meet their child again in heaven. Dawkins called the afterlife a coping mechanism. In that same kind of vein, I think he's right, but I also think he's missing something. The afterlife is what people reach out for when they haven't yet accepted what Epicurus was offering them. That death isn't the enemy. The enemy is wasting the time you have being afraid of it. Camus understood this in his own way. He told, the tale of imagine Sisyphus happy. He said, imagine Sisyphus happy. A man condemned to push a boulder up a hill forever and somehow still capable of joy. Because the pushing was his life. Sisyphus, he didn't find joy by escaping his fate. He found it by stopping the war against it. Acceptance of simply what is. That's Epicurus in a different language. Okay, it's accepting what simply is and living through it. Stop fighting the thing you can't fight. Turn around and face the people, the work, the hours that are actually in front of you. So go home tonight and notice your heartbeat. The one you didn't order, the one you didn't ask for, the one that will eventually stop. And then call someone you love. Make something with your hands. Eat dinner slowly. I know I have to work on that one personally. I love scarfing down my food. But death is nothing to us. So this, right now, all of this is everything. Thank you.